Hey, what's up? Hope you're doing well. Well, happy post bans. Hey, they did it. And, well, I'm not really going to talk too much about bans because I'm a little late to the party. That's not something I'm going to be covering. Plenty of people have done it before. But what I am going to be doing today is playing a new deck that I've never played before in a brand new standard, which is a standard I'm not really that familiar with, and I'm going to bring you along and we're going to learn some things together. What's good in this standard right now? I have no idea, but what I do know is yesterday there was a standard 64-person challenge, and some of the decks from that challenge did look kind of cool, and a couple of them stuck out to me, so I decided that I'm going to try them out. And this morning I had the idea that, hey, this deck in particular, this 4th place deck that is playing stuff like Cecil and Dark Confidant and all of this cool bounce stuff did kind of appeal to me. So I am going to try it out in standard. If you want to see the entire list of all of these, I'll put this list in the description. You can go and pick out some of the ones that look cool to you. So my idea for this video was, well, why not just load up the deck, craft it live, and go ahead and play it. I have it right here. I am going to waste my wild cards so that you don't have to waste your wild cards crafting Dark Confidant, a card that many of you probably are very familiar with and have a fond love of, but personally I do not. However, I do know the power behind this card, and, well, I'm going to finally try it out. And then also wasting some wonderful wild cards on Tiny Bones Joins Up, which is a neat card, but it is a card that I don't have any of. I do have one Dark Confidant, so we only have to craft 3. So we are crafting this deck, and we are going to learn it live. I guess I'll do it like this. Oh, 10 rares. Hey. Some of these rares that I just wasted wild cards on are going to be relevant cards, right? I think some of them were lands, a couple of Elesh Norns over here. I'm sure they're not the worst, although I'm pretty sure Elesh Norn is rotating very soon, so perhaps that would have been a card that I should have taken out instead. But I think Tiny Bones maybe will find a place here and there. Dark Confidant's going to be around for a while, so I don't feel too bad crafting this deck. Anyways, let's run it through some games and see how this Orzhov Bounce pseudo control list plays in our brand new 2025 post-June ban standard. How exciting, right? Alright, see you over there. Okie dokie, game number 1. Let's see what... Is standard fixed? I don't think it is fixed because the first thing that I was actually playing... so we do have a bit of removal. We do have Tiny Bones, but not a lot of action. We are going first. I'm gonna keep it, hoping that the disruption is good. The first deck that I have played, I'm gonna go out with the tap land first, is actually a mono red deck. So mono red is definitely, speak of the devil, definitely relevant still, and still a card in the format that people are going to have to be contending with. So we get rid of that little thing. We do get the Sun Pearl Kirin. Some of these cards I am familiar with, so... Oh, I saw MTG Joe playing this deck. This is the Lizard deck, which is pretty powerful, I think. So we will go out with our Verge, we'll play out the Tiny Bones, and the idea here is that we will throw out the Sun Pearl, got a target, and return the Momentum Breaker. Maybe we get a block on the Gev here. That would be kind of nice, but we'll see. Yeah, mono red is definitely going to be still a thing that exists. This deck is actually really cool. I was actually looking at this deck to craft. The problem with it is that it was even more rare crafting heavy than this deck. Okay, so we are laughing here. We get to return the Momentum Breaker. We get to get a free block on that card, and we are probably in a pretty good position right now. Does it matter? No. Obnoxious deck that we're on, making the opponent sacrifice everything and eventually discard everything. What does the second part of this do? Whenever a legendary creature you control enters any number of players, mill a card and lose a life. So that'll be good. We do have Cecil in the deck. What I really like to find is a Dark Confidant. But that's actually not the worst thing. We may as well put out the Momentum Breaker, get rid of the Hired Claw so it doesn't start growing. I suppose just keep them completely confined. And we are up to 2 speed. Does it really matter? Ooh, good. So Alicia, very cool card, but the raid trigger is not going to be happening because they haven't been able to attack. We'll just leave it on the board for future Kirans, possibly. Tiny Bones Joins Up, notably, is a legendary card, which maybe matters, but in the end, probably not. And there is no reason for us not to load up the Sanctuary and also start getting in. So, opponent down to 1 card in hand. We are maybe able to gain some life if it becomes relevant in the future. That's going to be stopping our Sanctuary. Oh, the Sanctuary stays as a creature. That is news to me. But they're going to be getting, obviously, a lot of value from the Alesha. I think Alicia is a different creature. And now we are in a bit of trouble. But probably we want to use the Nowhere to Run to kill this thing because it's going to just be getting way too much value. And we're getting in with Kiran Beats, I suppose. Let's just hope that they draw a little bit dead. Actually, this 4 life might end up being relevant at some point. I should be reading Jasper. Laughing Jasper Flint. At the beginning of your upkeep, exile the top X cards of your target opponent's library, where X is the number of outlaws you control. Until the end of turn, you may cast spells from among those cards. And mana can be whatever you want. They hit a Preacher of the Schism. I wanted a Preacher of the Schism. We're in tremendous trouble. This deck has some really remarkable value engine going on. And I do remember in the MTG Joe video that I watched just yesterday, he was able to kind of just churn through some things. Okay. Nurturing Pixie is going to allow us to return the Nowhere. And then I guess with the Nowhere to Run, we're going to be hitting the Jasper Flint because this thing is going to be pinging us and generating a ton of value. So that's good. And now we do have 2 creatures in the air. We might have to throw this Sanctuary in front of something at some point, but it can hang out for the time being. Gev is pinging us, so they also have some nice reach. Are there 2 Gevs? There's this Gev, and then isn't there... I thought I saw another Gev. Okay. Lifelink from the opponent is going to be a problem. We take 3, and... dang. Give me the Preacher. Alright. Yeah, that's cool. Maybe I should have crafted the Lizard deck. The Lizard deck definitely just has that engine mechanic to it that lets them draw and draw and draw and play. Look at what they're doing. This is absolutely insane. And we hit a Tiny Bones, which is useless now. Okay. We were not winning that one. Even though I think we disrupted them quite effectively, things did not pan out the way I wanted it to. Now we do bring in the Temporary Lockdown, which I think that was actually one of the crafts in the deck. I'm not sure. Or maybe I crafted this with another thing yesterday. I was a little bit apprehensive about crafting temporary lockdown because obviously it's going to be rotating very soon, and it is powerful, but not a card that you want to be spending all your resources on. Wow. What do we want to take out? I didn't think that the Tiny Bones was all that effective against this opponent because they're just kind of spewing out a lot of their stuff. So we'll probably take out 2 of them. Maybe even we'll go down 3, bring in the temporary lockdowns, and hopefully that'll be enough of a blowout. But yeah, what have you been playing? I guess that's the big thing. By the time this video comes out, I guess it will have been 3 days. I'm planning on trying to get this going as quickly as I can, but I think it will be about 3 days before or since the rotation. Momentum breaker over the Nowhere to Run, or should it have been the Dark Confidant? I think that actually Dark Confidant may have made a difference last game. It's possible that I should have thrown that out right there. Especially that we're a little bit pinched on lands, yeah. Oopsie. But maybe we'll be able to get them with the temporary lockdown if they sprint out. After 3 days, I'm sure the meta is starting to settle ever so slightly. What are you playing? That's a big question. I've been seeing obviously a lot of black. Really? We're just gonna keep missing lands? Okay, so I guess I just go out with a Nowhere to Run, take 2 damage from the Gev, maybe end up putting this Dark Confidant in front of something. Oh no, I don't have to take 2 damage because it doesn't get countered. That's cool. It didn't give me the chance to do that. Creatures opponents control can be the target of spells and abilities as though they didn't have hexproof. Ward abilities of those creatures don't trigger. Okay, so the ward ability simply does not trigger. Do I want to put the Dark Confidant underneath the Vine Lasher and save my life? But I kind of want to try to draw another land. I think it's fine, even though I might hit my own Dark Confidant with the temporary lockdown. I think I have to hit a land here. Okay. Could have attacked in. Useless, I think. So a little bit of a non-bow, taking our own things, but I have to stay alive. Notably, I think this can return the temporary lockdown, and then the triggers happen again, so that'll be kind of cool. We might end up seeing that if I hit an untapped land source. That's definitely going to be the plan, because we are hemorrhaging life. Okie dokie. Well, get rid of Alicia and get rid of that. So that's kind of cool, you know. It makes getting, you know, destroying my temporary lockdown with this deck actually is a very big detriment to the opponent. Let's get back the Nowhere to Run, kill the Gev, and just try to stabilize. And I think it's probably fine to put out the other Nurturing Pixie, return the Nowhere to Run to hand, and just chill for a minute. Notably, the Dark Confidant, so should talk about this. At the beginning of your upkeep, reveal the top card of your library and put that card into your hand. You lose life equal to its mana value. Our deck is very low to the ground, 1 and 2 drops. I think for the most part temporary lockdown, and there might be one other 3 CMC card, but for the most part we are not doing that much damage to ourselves. But it might happen. Opponent gets to get rid of our Nowhere to Run, which sucks, but we do have the option to return the Momentum Breaker, and then obviously we just hit another one there. We do got to be careful with our life because this Dark Confidant might end up killing us. Which makes me kind of want to put out the Preacher of the Schism so that I can get a lifelinker out onto the field. This thing is going to ping us. This thing is going to generate them a bunch of value. Eee. Okay. I think what I'm fine doing is just removing their threats and swinging in and hoping that the Dark Confidant doesn't kill me in the next couple of turns. Ideally, what I'd like to hit off of the Dark Confidant is a few lands. That sucks. That thing is going to be trampling and giving haste. So we're going to have to... Okay, that's good. Momentum Breaker, we can sacrifice it to get a little bit of life. Now, they're down to 5. Let's set up for the win. I think it's going to be cut down plus get lost, and maybe sacrifice the Momentum Breaker to stay alive. So I think I'm in okay shape here, barring, you know, some kind of direct damage that they might have. Okay, we will remove that. Whew. I like this deck. It's definitely like living on the edge. Oh yeah, Preacher of the Schism is the other 3 CMC card that was in my hand and I wasn't even thinking about. Is the fact that they have this Urbrask's Forge enough of a reason for me to bring in something like Lauren of the Third Path? I can't remove that card specifically any other way. And Lauren might be okay. Because if this thing gets going, I'm just dead. There's no way that I can deal with the value that it generates. And I definitely don't want to bring in Duresses to get rid of it. I don't think that's where we want to be. So, yeah, maybe. And take out a Preacher. Something like that. Alright. Ooh. Exciting. Okay, so we have our removal, lots of removal. We got kind of early mana, which is, I think it's good enough. And let's just keep them on their toes. Oh, my game is chugging suddenly. That's cool. Once in a while, I don't know, this has been happening with the client lately, where just after 1 or 2 games, some things start like having a hard time. They have bigger threats. I kind of think like the Dark Confidant might be just a better card to get out right now, start generating some value, and then, yeah, the Hired Claw is going to be a problem, but we can eventually get rid of that with the Go for the Throat if it does grow big enough. And if they're using their mana to pump it up to a 2-3, I think I'd rather them be doing that. We do take some damage, and this, man, this card is a Burning Tree Emissary for Lizards, which is absolutely insane. It comes in, adds some mana, and then this thing, Thought Stalker Warlock. When it enters, choose target opponent. If they've lost life this turn, they reveal their hand. You choose a non-land card from it, and they discard it. They got rid of the Preacher of the Schism, so they know something that I don't know because I was not putting that much value on the Preacher. Alright. I suppose I throw out the Nowhere to Run. Let's get rid of the Menace creature, and wondering now if old Dark Confidant here, Bob, needs to go in front of something. This card, a lot of reading from the opponent's cards here. This thing, if a lizard, mouse, otter, or raccoon you control would deal damage to a permanent, it deals that much damage plus 1. Okay, we'll do that. I think it's probably going to be Nowhere to Run on the Valley Flamecaller. They're down to 1 card in hand. They haven't found their engine, so that's pretty cool. I might end up just going for the Throat, or... Ooh, well, Lauren, going to be very important here. I think it's going to be Sun... Yeah, it's going to be the Sun Pearl Kirin this time around. They're going to make it... Like, we're going to take a little bit of damage here. And that's fine. What do I want to see off the top? A land? Oh, maybe not. Maybe I don't go this way. Maybe I just go for the throat, the Hired Claw, Lauren next turn, and then they're run down. Okay, we'll save the Kirin for a future turn. I was thinking of getting out the Kirin so that I could start dealing some damage to the opponent, but I think this is also just fine. Okay, so Lauren was the right choice there, absolutely. And they have a 2/2 that I'm not too worried about. A 3/2 that I think I'm very comfortable putting Lauren in front of. She did her job. Ooh, what a draw. Okay, let's read Cecil. Cecil, whenever Cecil deals damage, you lose that much life. Then if your life total is less than or equal to half your starting life total, untap him. That is awesome. Let's return a Nowhere to Run. And we might get a Dark Knight rolling this turn. Do you have to flip Cecil? Okay. This is what I'm wondering. He transformed no matter what. So putting out 2 Cecils is kind of weird, but I guess I could, in theory, do that. Maybe I won't, though. I will save just the Nowhere to Run and the Get Lost, so any threat that they put out will be able to neuter very comfortably. Notably, this is a very good threat from the opponent because it created 2 creatures and it would have been annoying to deal with, but they gave up. They're not dealing with it. Ended up being able to just grind them down, so that's pretty sweet. I thought this deck was going to be a big problem in that game 1 because they were just, going so wide on us, but even though they had a number of threats, the recursion of the bounce spells in this deck were able to deal with it. Pretty obnoxious deck, if I have to say so. Alright, that's the first one down. Let's keep trying this deck out. Game number 2 with the Orzhov Bounce list. 4th place finishing deck. Alright, we got an early Cecil. Notably, we don't have any white mana, though, currently. These Verges, I'm not sold on them yet. They look good. When I first saw them, I was like, yeah, these Verges are going to be awesome things to have. I think they're going to be very effective. But nowadays, I'm not too sure about them. Cecil getting in, doing a little damage to both sides. How wonderfully symmetrical Cecil is. Glad I finally got to play Cecil in a deck. This is one of those cards that, when it was shown in the spoilers or what have you, I thought it just looked very interesting, but I never got around to using it in any decks. There is a Mardu Legends deck that looks very cool. Is this Suicide? But I just, again, haven't gotten around to trying that deck out yet. Yeah, very, very cool. Let's get them flipped. If the Dark Confidants do a little bit of damage to me this turn, and I'm able to get in with Cecil... Oh no! What do they do? Oh, they destroy my boy? Okay, well, hey, we have a second one ready to go. Oh, okay, so these Dark Confidants definitely do some damage. Let's read this, because this is new. Awaken the Honored Dead, destroy target non-land permanent, mill 3 cards, and then you may discard a card. When you do, return target creature or land card from your graveyard to your hand. That's fine. Okay, opponent's down to 10. Let's put Cecil out again in hopes of flipping him next turn. I suppose this could save him, right? Return up to 1 target non-land permanent you control to its owner's hand. If it was a token, draw a card. I don't think I've read that part of Sun Pearl Kirin before. That's interesting. So I could be returning like clue tokens, and in a way, I'm drawing a card from returning the clue token. I'm just skipping on the mana, so I'm paying the 2 mana for the Sun Pearl Kirin, but I'm getting a 2/1 and drawing a card out of it. That's kind of neat. Okay. Do I care enough about this so that I should maybe get rid of it? I feel like the opponent is up to something fishy. And I have these in hand. The opponent's going to be down to 6 life. I feel like just using the Get Lost. Why not? I don't know what they're doing. Okay, land. Land. That's what you want to see with your Dark Confidants. Fantastic. So, we do flip the Cecil. This will make them discard, but I kind of feel like the opponent wants to discard something. You know what? I think it's better just to hold up the flash creature and the go for the throat and the Get Lost, just in case something really disastrous comes out from the opponent. Nice. That felt... Well, I wanted to say that felt really good, but let's be perfectly honest. The opponent played 1 card, so... You know. What are they doing? They're making me think that probably my nowhere to runs are not going to be very effective. I don't think they're going to have many -3/-3 targets. Instead, I think we probably want to bring in the Duresses to go after their non-creature-esque hand. And possibly Lauren, if... We only saw 1... enchantment. I don't think that's enough to justify. I have no idea what this opponent's deck is doing. So let's just take out the nowhere to runs. We still have plenty of removal in the deck, and we'll put in the duress. Maybe the duresses are going to give us some nice insight into their hand. Well, I don't think that's a keepable hand, is it? I've kept some sketchy things, but not that. This is going to be fine. Our mana is perfectly okay, and I think we keep the removal, get rid of the second Tiny Bones, it's fine. Alright, I don't know if I want to be making the opponent discard. It seemed like that was kind of part of their plan, but they did mulligan down to 6, so maybe this is going to be some annoying disruption for them. Okay, removal. Roiling Dragonstorm. When this enters, draw cards, then discard. Okay. So they do want to be discarding. We are helping them by making them discard. Do I really want to put out this Momentum Breaker, or do I just want to save it to make them sacrifice something later on? I kind of feel like I don't want to be enabling them, which I just feel like that's what I'm doing with this deck. Okay, and Lauren may be important. Whenever you cast a spell that's 1 or more colors, you may gain life. And then it's a mana rock. I can't. Okay. We are not finding any action. This is looking dire. Definitely need Cecil. Where's Cecil? Ooh, the opponent's stuck on lands? They drew that many cards and they're stuck on lands. To me, that's wild. Because that's the case, now I want to Momentum Breaker. Make them discard. They seem to be in a position where maybe discarding is going to be an issue for them. They did ramp, though, with the Cornucopia, so maybe my hastiness to make them discard something was a little... But that's okay. How do you feel about this card? Rakshasa's Bargain. I remember playing this one in maybe one deck, and it just didn't seem all that effective for 3 mana, especially 3 very specific mana pips. They put the Scavenger Regent in the bin. That's maybe fine. Kind of thinking that I bring out all of my discard now. What do I have in my sideboard that would be better? Maybe bringing in the top end like Bisa and just trying to get the card advantage. Ooh. I kind of feel like my deck here is not going to be able to slow their deck down. I feel like they're going to be generating a ton of card advantage with what they're playing, and they're going to be able to deal with my threats. So I think my plan of kind of grinding the opponent down in this matchup isn't really going to be working out very well. And then, like, obviously we have removal, so both of us are just going to be able to go back and forth for a little while, keeping each other on lockdown. Ooh, let's turn off auto passing. I have a feeling that maybe getting rid of this might be a good idea. What do they want to return? Maybe the Morong River Regent, which I might end up regretting this. I don't think the cutdown is actually going to be able to... Cutdown's horrible in this matchup, now that I'm looking at things. They have creatures that are all going to be... Well, not that... Well, no, it does. It's 5, right? That's 6. Everything is going to be able to avoid the cutdown, and maybe the get lost was actually going to be a lot more important in this matchup. Hey, that's a lot of lands. 13 cards, 2, 4, 6, 7. It's not too bad, I guess. It's about right. I actually think maybe with this Fang Keeper's Familiar, it might be fine for me just to concede this one. They're surveilling, they're generating a lot. I don't really want to sit here and waste my time and go through the whole process of what's happening. Yeah, Cutdown seems very bad. They are a graveyard deck. We're going to bring in our Graveyard Hate. They are also a ETB deck. So if a permanent entering causes a triggered ability of a permanent, you control the trigger, that it triggers an additional time. Permanents entering don't cause abilities to trigger from your opponent. We are 100% bringing in Elish Norn to slow down their nonsense over there. I also feel like Lauren is probably going to have quite a bit of value in the end in this matchup. I don't want to be making them discard. Not specific discard. I still think the directs are probably going to be okay. But now I think my game plan is a lot better to deal with what the opponent is doing. What a unique deck. One cool thing I have been playing since the bans, you do see those decks that are like, of course this is the deck. But I have also been seeing a lot of people doing some pretty cool stuff. I think this is just too weak. Oh my. Okay. Wow. Wow, that didn't go so well. Okay, sometimes the mulligans, they get you. The Preacher of the Schism could end up being pretty impactful. Let's duress them and then go all in on this Preacher and hope that whatever I duress away here is hugely impactful. Probably it's the Cornucopia, right? I don't know. They're all good. Oh, the Awaken is really good too. You know what? Actually, it's going to be Awaken because I need to make sure that this Preacher stays on the field for a little while. Okay, well, that's good news. So at least we're not doing damage to ourselves with getting black mana. That's a thing. Okay. Preacher, it's all up to you. This is the first time we've seen this one on our side of the field. Whenever this creature attacks the player with the most life or tied for the most life, create a 1/1 white vampire creature token. Whenever this creature attacks while you have the most life or tied for the most, draw a card and you lose a life. So, not too bad. We get to develop a little bit of a board. I think we're putting out the Cecil. I don't think the opponent is going to have any kind of board wipe. Right? That's something you always say immediately before the board wipe. I think that's how these situations work. Soulstone Sanctuary, very cool card, but the fact that it stays as a creature makes me a little apprehensive about using it. Haha, we draw a card because I have the most life. Ooh. So I was thinking about putting out the Dark Confidant to start drawing cards, but now I'm kind of thinking that maybe hitting their cornucopia might be a better deal, because just to slow them down a little bit. I don't know what their top end is, and I think I'd rather keep them a little bit lower on mana. I don't want them dropping like a 6 CMC dragon. Ooh, they could have put out the Fangkeeper's Familiar, but with both of our creatures having Death Touch, blocking with that is very annoying. Okay, let's live. Let's live a little, right? Throw out the Dark Confidant. What's the worst that could possibly happen? It's going to draw us a card next turn. It's only upside. Don't attack. Don't attack. Oh. This is gonna hurt. You already know it's coming, right? There's no way they attacked. Maybe they're... Yeah, I know they have that card. I saw it last game. What am I doing? Alright. Sanctuary, you gotta go all the way. You know what? The fact that he countered my Lauren tilted me into playing out the Dark Confidant, and I really wonder, would I have made the play if my Dark Confidant had landed on the field? Would I have done the same? Or if the Lauren had landed, would I have played out the Dark Confidant? I'm not exactly sure. But I definitely know that my reaction was, oh, the Lauren didn't hit, so let's play out the Dark Confidant, even though you've already overextended, you dummy. Now the opponent looking for some way to kill my poor Soulstone Sanctuary. And they don't find it, so that's good news. But they are gaining quite a bit of life. And we get the anemic draws. How did they gain a whole bunch of life? What? Oh, I guess maybe the River Region does that, right? Or not River Region, but the Black Dragon. Does it gain them life? Maybe. Speaking of cards I can't deal with, this one. I have a feeling that this matchup was never going to go my way, no matter what. Haha, you got me. Alright. Yeah, I think this was a pretty tough one. The opponent's on a very cool deck. It's very grindy, very controlly, and I think the fact that they can generate so much value kind of spits in the face of what my deck is trying to do. So I'm cool just throwing the towel in on that one and moving on. Very, very cool deck. Next one. Now I'm thinking about it. I did mulligan down to 5 in that third game, right? And the game definitely felt like still like a game until I got board wiped. So that's a pretty good testament to the deck. You know, it does have quite a bit of power to get back into things. Opponent taking our momentum break. That's a little bit of a shame, but we do have a turn 1 Tiny Bones, so some good news there. Opponent black, the hot color in the MTG format. In fact, Dimir is the hot color. I believe this is what people have deemed as the best deck in the format. I think I'm okay throwing out the Pixie, and then that's fine. Let's make them discard another card. What might not be fine is a turn 3 Kaito, which might be the case here. So the Drowner of the Pits, not Drowner of the Pits, but the Flood Pit Drowner. What's the Drowner of the Pits? That's another card. Oh, they didn't have the Kaito. Thank goodness for that. So we can put out the Nurturing Pixie, and then I think it's the Nowhere to Run. I don't know if I do it on the Drowner or if I try to catch another creature before attacks. How does ninjutsu work? Ninjutsu is weird. They're going to combat, so I think I have to do this Nowhere to Run when they go into combat. That's cool. Okay, let's put out the Sanctuary Soulstone Sanctuary. And the Preacher of the Schism, I think, is fine. Well, the opponent doesn't seem to have very much going on. There's the removal. They shot my Sheriff. We might end up loading up the Sanctuary at some point very soon in this game. Ooh. That doesn't fly. Never mind. No big deal. Okay. Confidant. No removal from the opponent. Let's generate some value with Bobby. I'm fine with this attack. Okay. So, note of... they're drawing some cards now. That is very cool. I need to find some nowhere to runs or... that doesn't do anything. Some kind of removal. Yep. All of those are the removal. You know what? At this point in the game, if they want to give me their Enduring Curiosity, I'm fine with it. It's still going to stick on the field, so they're going to be drawing 2 cards when this other Enduring Curiosity deals damage. Ooh, they got their own Preacher, and they're tied. Oh my god, this deck is really cool. I could block with the Confidant, but I think... oh, they're going to draw 2 cards. No, this deck is so much more powerful than my deck. I see it. I can already see it. Holy cow. Everything's just Value Town right now in this game. And if we're drawing a whole bunch of lands, what are we really doing here? Yeah, mill a card, lose a life. I forgot that was a thing. Yeah, that could be good for a little bit of like reach later on. I think we're back on defense. So we do have the Restless Fortress. It becomes a 1/4 white and black nightmare creature until the end of turn, and whenever it attacks, that player loses life. So that's kind of cool. Again, a little bit of reach for maybe future turns. Oh, hit a land. Okay, good. Do it again, hit another land. I really don't want a 2/2 attacking in. Oh, it's a 2/2. And what did they find? They found another Enduring Curiosity, so we are absolutely cooked here. Yeah. You know what? I'm good. I'm real good. Oh my gosh, that is a deck. I guess probably we bring in... oh, I don't have any kind of exile, do I? So I can't deal with these curiosities. I'm thinking like the temporary lockdown is probably going to come in, but the temporary lockdown isn't really going to do too much. Alright, I think the plan is just to have a bit of a god draw, and I don't know how this deck just seemed, just from that one performer, this is the first time I've seen that deck, but I've seen it popping up a ton in, you know, forums and what have you. People are talking about it. Just seeing it perform there and how it just popped off from being, I don't know if they were in a little bit of a behind position, but they, you know, I did some stuff to them, but still the recovery, especially as soon as they got those Enduring Curiosities on the field. Wow. Maybe a card that I have underestimated. Okay, so they get rid of our removal, but we do find a little bit more. That's fine. I'm so afraid of the Kaido that I don't know, maybe I was a little bit hasty in using the Nowhere to Run to remove the Drowner. Probably... do I attack? I think I'm attacking, it's fine. I don't think they have flash creatures that fly, but they do just have the Drowner. And again, I'm so afraid of the Kaido, I think I have to get rid of it. I can't let that thing come ninjutsuing in on me. And they have the Preacher. So that's going to generate a ton of value for them, and I have no way of dealing with it. Maybe this is a deck he should be playing. Don't be playing the Orzhov deck. Bob is a hack. The Preacher double triggers when your life total is on... There it is. We're toast. We're toast. This thing is way too powerful. Oh my god. So Kaido, during your turn, as long as Kaido is has one or more loyalty counters on it, he's a 3/4 ninja, of course. You get an emblem. Ninjas you control get +1/+1, and then he surveils, draws a card. Yeah. And stuns. Is there more? There's more! Can you believe that? The Planeswalker scrolls. The text scrolls on this thing. You put so much on this Planeswalker that it actually... You actually have to scroll it. Okay. To me, that's crazy. I think I'm fine seeing one more draw. I don't think I want to play this game anymore. Yeah, this 4 toughness baseline is just really good. It stops all of their cards get around our cut downs and our nowhere to runs, and that is pretty devastating. I didn't really think about that, but yeah, this is going to be a deck that we're all going to have to watch out for, because this thing is, it's just insane. I can't attack the Kaido. I can't do anything against it. Oop. I didn't mean to do that. I meant to put out the Dark Confidant. We're conceding this game anyways. There's no reason to continue on with this one. I am going to try this deck out one more time. I think I need to give it a fair shake before I can judge anything about it. So one more. Okay. 4th and final game. So far, the impression about this deck is that it seems to prey on a certain type of opponent's deck. When the opponent is trying to do creature stuff and a little bit fairly without having like a value engine, probably this deck is going to do very well, because you're just going to stall out the opponent and they're not going to be able to get any momentum back. Yeah, I'll try it. Not knowing what they're on, we'll keep the removal heavy hand. That being said, if the opponent is playing something like the last 2 opponents where they're all about, hey, let's get... Oh, man, that's cool art. I haven't seen that before. Let's let them discard first. Where the opponent is just generating a whole bunch of card value and putting out threats that we obviously can't deal with. Things get real sketchy real fast. I have a feeling, though, that the deck that my last opponent is on might be a similar style of deck, and that might just be the way Standard is right now, where everybody's just playing cards that are generating cards. Look at that card. What is this? Thunder of Unity? You draw 2 cards and lose 2 life. Fine. Whenever a creature you control enters this turn, each opponent loses 1 life and you gain 1 life. I mean, that's just a kind of a cool card, right? Oh, keep this one. Target the opponent. I don't like that I have to target him. And what is this? Case of the Getaway Express. Choose target creature you don't control. Each creature you control deals 1 damage to that creature. Sure. Solve it. 3 or more creatures attack this turn. So they are attacking, I assume. They want to be attacking, and then they get an Anthem. Do I care about a 1/1? I don't really want to give them the option of playing out a card this turn, and they have 3 mana up. I think it's fine. Okay. It's also fine. I like this card. Thunder. What is the opponent up to? This is such a cool deck, because this is going to mobilize 2 with the Thunder of Unity on the field. That's going to be draining me for 2 extra life. It's kind of like a temporary or a mini Impact Tremors for 2 turns that drew you 2 cards at the cost of 2 life. It's a little bit hard to cast in Mardu, but I don't think 3 color decks are overly difficult to use right now. So yeah, very cool, and just something different. Okay, Sephiroth onto the field. He's probably going to sacrifice that. Here comes our trigger. Could I have? I guess then they could have chosen not to sacrifice that creature. I was kind of wondering, like, if I could have gotten around that. But again, look, they just filled up their hand, because this thing allowed them to draw a card, and then they got this card exiled with the little bro, and we don't have that kind of what we do. We have Dark Confidant, we have the Preacher of the Schism, but when we're only drawing lands, man, it feels really bad. You kind of feel like you're just getting buried under your opponent's card draw value. This thing also is going to be generating them value. Now they have a Sephiroth for the next turn. This is ludicrous. Exile the top card of your library during any turn. You put a lore counter on this. You may play that card. I cannot allow my opponent to play that Sephiroth, so we are all to the field. I think I'm gonna keep. Do I keep the cave in my hand to like feign that I have something? Why not? But we've disrupted them so much, and they have 4 cards in hand. They also have 4 maps on the field because we gave them the maps, but that's another story. But maybe we are just in a value town standard, so you should be either playing a deck that is going to run over your opponent or a deck that's going to draw you 3 or 4 cards a turn. And I don't... Oof. Yay! Look at these draws. The opponent literally drew 3 cards that turn with the map. Okay, again, mind you, but we are in trouble, and now they get haste, and we've done literally nothing. They're at 22 life. What am I doing? I feel like I'm a child getting beat on by some adult right now. This is too much. Three opponents in a row that are just outdrawing me so hard. Cool art though. Very cool art. Man, the what were they called? The Gestalts, I think, is what they're called, from Final Fantasy 13. Very, very neat. I want to play what the opponent's playing. This opponent's playing a Mardu mobilized deck that has a sub-theme of sacrificing things to the with Sephiroth and just pinging your opponent. What a cool deck. I'm going to be hit for 6 damage here. Possibly 7? 7? Okay, we're going to let the opponent attack because I want to see one more draw. But we were spanked this game. It's not even close. Did I waste my wild cards crafting this? Did I get baited into playing Orzhov when Dimir and Mardu are actually the way to go? Maybe Boros. What happened while I was sleeping last night? Because I thought this deck, my whole idea was I'm going to wake up, I'm going to craft this deck, it's going to be kind of cool. And we draw a Cecil Wave. He did not sacrifice them. They can't be sacrificed. Zurgo is cool. That's the first time I've seen the Thunder's Decree. My opponent, obviously, a fan of this deck. You can see that they have kitted it out a little bit with some cool cards. I feel like Temporary Lockdown has to come in. Alice Norn is probably not going to work very well. Ew, hoo, hoo, hoo. I'm not even sure. Yeah, I don't know what to say. Obviously, the one thing that hasn't been happening for this deck outside of game number 1 is seeing that engine where you get the Nurturing Pixie out and you get the Kieran out and you're bouncing your enchantments back to your hand. Maybe that's because I'm not keeping proper hands. It could be entirely on me in the way that I've been mulliganing or not mulliganing. Or maybe I'm using my enchantments a little bit too hastily. That's okay. I want a white source. Give me a white source. But yeah, something definitely feels a little bit like it's not really working. Okay, my opponent, Painter's Studio. Whenever you attack, attacking creatures get plus. This is a card that I was looking for. Okay. We got nothing going on here. I was looking at like a Boros Mobilize deck, and I was trying to find some other cards that would help with like generating value, and this card's pretty cool. That might fit right into the deck. I don't want to use my Get Lost on that thing. Wow. We are drawing so piss poorly. And the opponent, again, very impressed with Thunder of Unity. Oh, it's a rare. I can't craft it. I can't afford this. What do we got here? What's this now? Chandra, Spark Hunter. At the beginning of combat on your turn, choose up to one target vehicle you control. Until the end of turn, it becomes an artifact creature and gains haste. You may sacrifice an artifact or discard a card. If you do, wow, you generate value. How amazing. Okay, well, we are not allowing the Spark Hunter to Rumina on the field. At the very least, we can get rid of that, and we are absolutely cooked. This is going to be a 1 in 4 video, boys, or 1-3, I guess. Well, losing 3 out of the 4 matches. I don't think this is possible. Thankfully, I led in with a win. A real shame for all the people that only watch the first 6 to 7 minutes of my videos, because you're going to see me winning that first game, and you're going to go and you're going to waste your wild cards crafting this deck when you should be crafting all these other sick-ass decks that are absolutely destroying me. Let's get rid of the Sephiroth. We'll respond to it this time. I don't think they're sacrificing. They sacrifice. They draw cards, and we continue on with our trash draws. 40%-ish. Oh my god. I'm in love with my opponent's deck. Of all the decks that I've seen, the Dimir deck definitely seemed the most powerful. That one was definitely extremely oppressive. But this is the deck that I'm like, I want to play this deck. This deck is so sweet. I'm going to have to watch this video back a few times and just check what the opponent's playing and make sure I'm able to craft it or figure it out. I don't think I've seen, is this a brew by the opponent? Peter H. Masters is definitely a master. Let's use the cut down here with our 1 colored source of mana, because we are really running hot. Is there even any point? Like, what am I doing here? My opponent has 7 lands on the field. They are generated so many cards. How many cards are in their deck? They have a Chandra out on the field now. They've drawn 8 cards more than I have, and I can't even get a second colored mana source. Oh, I hate this game. And now they have a vehicle that they're going to be able to crew. Yeah, I can kill the Chandra. But Chandra does that. She makes the vehicle and she crews it. I'm going to get hit for, what, 7 damage here? 8 damage? Oh my god, it's so cool. Are we doomed? I think we're doomed. This is done. What a piss poor draw. Losing them ranks. Time to go back to mono red. Alright. Did I waste my wildcards crafting this deck? I don't think I did, because I do feel like Dark Confidant, Preacher of the Schism, they are probably cards that are pretty good. I don't know if this one's rotating. This one might be rotating, although I don't think I actually crafted this. I did waste my cards on the Elish Norn. That's a... maybe she's good to have, just for Brawl if I ended up doing that. The Tiny Bones I'm sure is going to pop up somewhere, but this deck just felt like it didn't do its thing. Maybe it just needs a lot more reps, but like my first impression of this deck is that you either have it or you don't have it. There's very little in between with this deck. It didn't feel like... what I kind of went in this deck expecting was that it was going to be a very well balanced deck, and that kind of no matter what, you're going to kind of do out your game plan. And the reality was, you kind of don't. There were games where I obviously just drew so much of the removal, and yeah, you can remove your opponent's creatures, but you're just kind of going one for one. And if you don't have your value cards on the field, which now that I'm thinking about things, I did sometimes take out the Preacher of the Schism. I think maybe Preacher of the Schism is 100% staying in the deck every single time. But if you don't have this or this, you're just not doing anything. I think I saw Cecil on the field once. For some reason, this guy was just hiding in my deck. Would have been a great thing to have out on turn one, so I could have been removing my opponent's creatures while still posing a bit of a threat. But what ended up happening most of the time was I just went one for one with the opponent, but the opponent was actually going 3 for 1 with my draws, and you just get bogged down with all the cool stuff that the opponent is doing. So although like my impression of this deck was very positive, when you play it, it just didn't really feel like it was doing what it needed to do. Again, maybe it's got a mulligan differently, maybe I got to pick my targets for playing out the removal, but that being said, it did feel really lackluster in the end. So, yes, I have these cards in my collection. Hopefully they do something cool. 10 rare wild cards went into this one, which is the toughest bullet to bite. But maybe the temporary lockdown for 1 month. Don't craft temporary lockdown. Don't. You have 1 month left with this card. It's going away, and unless you play Pioneer, which is the reason I wasn't too upset about crafting this myself. I do play Pioneer enough. I will get value out of this card, but if you're a standard player, do not craft Temporary Lockdown. Split Up, maybe, if you're going to be trying a deck like this, might be a little bit better, but yeah, unimpressed. What I am impressed with is that Mardu deck that I am going to try to figure out and see if I can play it a little bit. That's it. If you stuck around, I'm sorry. Those games were trash. But hey, you gotta put out a video, and it is what it is. See you next time. Bye bye.